Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Communications from Home, which is my weekly evening live stream show right here on Facebook at Star Nation's organization's main fan page. So welcome, everybody. I have been looking forward to this evening all day. Why? Is because Tuesday, March 10th, happens to be our publishing day for Star Nation's magazine. Yeah, we build up to this all month long, and when publishing day gets here, it's like yay. Because there's just a lot of energy that's put toward the creation of the monthly issue. And when the 10th rolls around and we are poised to do the publishing, there's nothing like it. Because it's a happy moment, but it's also a very gratifying moment. And so I get to share with you tonight, if I can talk, right? So before we get rolling too far down the road, though, I promised a couple of people that I would send them the link to the show so that they could join us. And so I want to make sure I do that, because once I start talking, I forget. And go. There's one more. There she is. All right. There we go. And you could do the same thing if you choose, just even if you send it to one friend, right? That's always good. That's always good. We're going to be talking about creating tonight. And that really is the underlying energy in just about everything we do. And when I say we, that's the royal we, okay? We have energy that is expended every single day, multiple times a day, in creating our life, those things that are going on around us, right? And so do you really kind of embrace that term creator when you are referring to yourself? Because I know that when I kind of was connecting the dots years ago and how manifesting, this is when The Secret first came out, and I read the original book around all of that. Yeah, it was using that particular word creator in describing myself. It was like, oh, I don't know about that. And then for a while there, it was okay if I used the word creator, but with a small c, then it was okay, right? So there's some belief systems around all of that too. And so tonight we're going to be chatting a bit about that and using the magazine as an example of when we step into our creatorness. Is that a word, creatorness? I don't know, but that certainly feels like it. So welcome, everybody. Welcome everybody that's in the live chat. Thank you so much. Hey, Barbie's here. Hi, Barbie. Thank you for being with me this evening. And those that'll be watching the show via the recorded version, thank you so much for making time in your day to spend with us as well. So I'm posing the question to you about, do you feel comfortable? Are you embracing the term to describe yourself as a creator? Right? Yeah. Because, we do it, like I said, all day long. Most of the time it's unconsciously done. But we also co-create a lot, or probably a lot more than we actually just, to manifest something and putting it out there for it to be created, right? And so when I first kind of connected those dots in consciously creating, and there was authors using that word creator to describe all of us, right? And so I had to sit with that for a while, because depending on what religion you might have grown up with, if any, there is that belief about not using God's name, right? And there's 72, at least 72 versions of that name, right? And so I had to sit with that for a little while and feel what that was like for me, and how could I utilize that word to describe what I do. I don't know. Do you guys feel the well, I don't know if I can do that kind of energy, right? Have you ever felt that? Certainly have. And so I think some of us, we have that in common, right? And if you go to years down the road, I'm much more comfortable with it now. And I realize that those kinds of belief systems um, challenge us to step outside of our comfort zone, to stretch, and to take in the possibilities, right? Is it a possibility that I am a creator? Is it a possibility that the life that I'm living right now is largely done by my own creation, right? Yeah. Mm. it's a big question, isn't it? It's a big energy field of a topic. And when I knew that we were going to be talking about this, because I wanted to, share the magazine with you guys, right? The March issue, because I'm always so excited to share that with you guys. And as I was thinking, okay, how do we want to do this? Do we just want to share the magazine? Because I've done that before too, where the magazine was certainly, the major topic for that night, right? And sharing the backstories and all that. And so I was getting ready to create the description of the show. And literally, as I was going to reuse one of the old descriptions, literally had to pause so that I could try to figure out how I was going to share this, right? And that's when my spiritual team was showing me, literally showing me the word creator with a small c, and then creator, the word with a capital C. So we're going to take the opportunity to be able to have this conversation around creating, and our comfortableness or our uncomfortableness with describing ourselves as creators and co-creators. Okay, you ready? I am, because I've been looking forward to this all day. So Rob, thank you so much, Rob, and my producer for my show. Thank you so much for helping and putting this stuff up. So let's take a look at Angie's here. I was just gonna say, let's look at some of the comments. Hey, Ange, good to have you here, lady. Good to have you in the house. Lisa, hello, Lisa. Good to have you here. And by the way, happy belated birthday. I'm sorry I missed it yesterday, but I was like to here with magazine stuff. I had my blinders on most of the day. So I'm sorry I wasn't able to tell you that yesterday, but happy birthday. And Judy's here too. Hello, Judy. Thank you so much, pretty lady. Thank you. Back at you, lady. You're pretty too. Yeah. Sorry, my notifications are so loud tonight. Lisa says, I'm comfortable with that like a feather bed. Yay, good for you. Now, Lisa, I have to ask you this. Were you always like that? Did you always embrace it? Because if you have, there's a story in that maybe you wouldn't mind sharing. Or if you haven't, that's even a story worth sharing, because I'm sure that there's others out there that, how do you embrace it? How do you get through it? Right? How do you say, oh, yep, that's me. I'm all over that. Right? Yeah. Because there's some people maybe that might be kind of, vacillating or saying, I don't know if I can do that. Right? So if you wouldn't mind sharing your story, that would be great. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah. Like a feather bed. Oh my gosh. How comfortable is that? Right? Yeah. I need more focus. Okay. Well, let us know. All right, let us know. I can tell you a little bit about my story around it. Yeah, I would have to go all the way back to when I first started studying feng shui. It was in that time frame. It was that template, um, yeah, that template. That's a good word for it. Um, it was a time in my life where I was facing a lot of things that were uncomfortable. I went out to California for the very first time by myself to study feng shui and space clearing, um, and actually, be open to the possibilities of doing that professionally. When been doing space clearing since I was 13, and didn't realize that there was actually words around it, and that people were using this all over the place, right? And so there was a time when um, I was literally broken open. It was a time in my life that nothing in my life was the same. The only constant was Paul. That was it. Um, my parents had disowned me. I was flailing at that, and literally took me to my knees. And so it was a rough time, really, really rough. And so here I am sitting out in California around a lot of people I never met before. Um, and as I was listening to the teacher, Denise Lin was showing us a lot of stuff around feng shui, and she was talking about how we can shift energy, and how we can move energy, and how we can balance energy, and uh, and I started getting these. My team was talking to me. They were showing me things as she was describing, right? And that was the first time I'd ever considered that what I do could affect my environment around me in a very conscious way. Okay, now that that for me is another step deeper. Yeah, deeper than just prayer. Now, I'm not saying prayer is just, is just. It's just that it's more conscious. It's more deliberate. It's there's more intention put into it, right? Rather than just saying this is what I want, and then hopefully you'll get it, right? If you're good enough, you'll get it, kind of thing. And so it really was challenging my belief systems, and I was filtering through my belief systems at that time, big time, big time, because like I told you, my whole world was rocked. And so what I thought was who was on first wasn't even on first. They weren't even in the ball field. Okay. And so that was my start of it. And sometimes I think that when we're just getting started with embracing the fact that we are creators, that we create the world around us, that we do have to filter through some of those belief systems, some of the beliefs that we grew up with, some of the beliefs that our family maybe have held for a really long time. And we have to kind of look at that and say, is this me? Does this support me? Do I really believe this? Right? Yeah. So it kind of starts there. Um, because you do get stretched, right? You have to kind of step outside of your comfort zone, and you have to be open to being responsible for the life that you're living. And it's like, okay, why would I create that? If I really wanted to have a peaceful life, why would I create it this way? Right? Anybody do that? Yeah. So why would I have created a very difficult life for myself? Well, then I started understanding about our soul contracts. right? Um, and how we can create our life to support our soul contracts. Yeah. And then there's the next layer. And the next layer is embracing, claiming, and applying the gifts that we came in with. The ones that where our soul just shines, right? When we're using them. Yeah. So for me, it's kind of like when I first started, I don't know if this is a good analogy or not, but it's kind of like learning how to juggle. If you ever learned how to juggle, the very first premise of learning how to juggle is that you learn how to drop whatever you're juggling. Because if you can drop it with grace and ease, then you can juggle with grace and ease, right? Right. And learning that juggling is multidimensional, and that juggling is there's a rhythm to it, right? Some people would actually say that it's very musical, um, and that it's filled with intuition, because you can feel when that next ball or whatever you're juggling needs to be tossed into the air. You can feel it, right? And so for me, it was a lot like that. I always thought that was a good analogy for me anyway. Um, to put all of these pieces, first of all, to take everything apart and take a look at it. That's just me. That's how I've always learned, was to take something apart and take a look at each piece and then put it back together. That's how you learn. That's how I learn. So to be a creator, in order for me to embrace it, I had to take a look at my belief systems. What do I truly believe? Yeah. Um, Rob, could you bring up Lisa's? Yeah. No, I had to CV learn. You have to give me a little bit more, Lisa, because I'm lost with that one. Give me a little bit more. No,
I'm thinking unlearn.
I had to. No, I had to unlearn. We're gonna let Lisa, I think, give us a little bit more with that, okay? Because I didn't quite get that. Could be unlearn. Yeah. I remember the first time I created a drum, a hand drum. Again, it was out in California, and same teacher. It was in one of our advanced courses, and we didn't know we were going to be doing it. She never said anything about it to us when we were registering, right? And so we're sitting in circle, and she's telling us about this, that the materials arrived, and that what we were going to be doing. And she goes, "We're going to be making a Native American hand drum." And I sat there and I'm thinking, okay, on the outside, I looked very calm. On the inside, I was freaking out because in the culture I grew up in, um, women do not touch drums, much less make a drum. Right? And so here I thought I had found my peeps. I thought I had found the place where I could be me, and I could relax, and I could just, have fun with this, right? And then I was in a group of people where I was going to be different again. Yeah, it really shook me. And I remember going up on the bluff while everybody else was having lunch. I was up on the bluff, um, talking to my spiritual team, crying. It was all, what am I gonna do now? I look back at it now and think, oh my goodness, such drama. But when I was going through it, it didn't feel like drama. It was like, what am I going to do? And because this is going against everything that I was taught, right? And as I'm laying on the bluff looking up at the clouds, I could hear my spiritual team saying, because I was thinking, God, what's my mom going to say, right? How am I going to explain this one to them next? Because they weren't even talking to me at the time. And one of my spiritual team says, well, you can't be any more disowned than you already are. Now, that was different. It was like, God, yeah, that's so true. And I could have an experience that I could make a decision for myself if I'm going to do this or not, right? So I did. And I have to tell you, I remember reaching into the water to grab the hide out, and was, thinking, okay, this is the first step kind of thing. And I really felt like, something was going to happen. I was, spirit was going to show me a way that this is not, that I shouldn't be doing this, right? Nothing like that happened. No thunderbolts, no pain, nothing, other than about halfway through the process, I was looking around at the women around me, very determined, right? Very focused. And I realized I was having fun. This is joyful. Yeah. But I had to experience that for myself to make that decision. And so that was the very first time I'd ever co-created something very consciously with spirit and stepping outside of my comfort zone big time. Huge. Yeah. So to be a creator, sometimes we have to face some of those things that might be scary to us, that we might have somebody think less of us, right? Yeah. And all of that was by mental mind. That wasn't anything coming from my heart at all. The only thing that was coming from my heart was the joy in the actual making of the drum. The other stuff was all in my head, getting all spun around and, playing out. Do you ever do that? Play out scenarios on how this could happen? How could, how angry is she going to be? How disappointed is she going to be? Kind of thing. And then when I realized, I was like, she's not even talking to me. By the time she finds out about this, it could be some time it could have passed, right? So it was, yeah, it's one of those things also I think about facing our fears. Yeah. What did they say? It was one of our card draws, I think it was last year, that when we face our biggest fears, our greatest desire is just on the other side of that. When we face our biggest fears. Yeah. Yeah. And so sometimes it is putting ourselves out there for others to see, to experience it, right? Whatever it is that we're doing, whatever it is that we're creating. Yeah. And I think sometimes that's what holds us back. That's what holds us back in being small, right? That we're treating whatever it is that we're working on and whatever we're creating, that we hold enough of ourselves back that it's much smaller in the energy field than it could be. It could be that if you embraced it and really stepped into it, that it could be a much larger energy field, meaning that you're going to affect a lot more souls out there, right? Yeah. I mean, it could be magical. It could be magical if we can step beyond our fears, step beyond that comfort zone that might be kind of small for us, right? That we have to stretch. So, Rob, let's get caught up with people in the chat. Deborah, hello, Deborah. I've been thinking about you today. I was going to give you a call. I wasn't so busy with the magazine. Tomorrow, I'll give you a call. So, hi, it's good to have you here. Good to have you here, lady. Rob is saying, what do you call someone who hangs out with musicians? A drummer? We're the ones that keep the beat, right? Keep everybody together. Lisa, okay, Lisa is saying, I challenged all beliefs as a child. When things would go astray, I would say, okay, this is how it's going to be, and then it would happen. I was taunted by dark stuff as a child, so I had to find my power. I wasn't ready to be responsible until the last few years. Oh, okay. Thank you for sharing that, Lisa, because basically that what you're sharing with us is how you stepped into your power, right? How you claimed your power, how you stood up to your fear. Yeah. And really, and how you remembered what it was like when you were a child, that this is just the way it's going to be. And you just created it. Right? Really good. Thank you for sharing that, Lisa. That is so good. I'm sure somebody else is going to say, "Oh my goodness, I did that too." Okay, so Judy says, but it all about who you want to be and feel safe, new experiences, but it's hard to face the fear we have. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. And what I've learned about that, Judy, is that that part is really all about what's going on in our mind, right? Yeah, because when we create from the mind, it's all about duality. It's all about the polarity. So when you do it that way, it's all about um, good and bad, dark and light, positive, negative, right? When we create from only the mind, and we can do that. We can do that. Lots of people do. Lots of people do. It's it carries a much bigger energy field when we create from the balance of the mind and the heart. Right? It's the same way that if we create solely from our heart, a lot of times what we have is very strong emotions, right? And sometimes our creation gets lost in the emotions because it's so strong. But when we create from a balanced place of the mind and the heart, that energy field can be huge. And it actually builds us up and strengthens our gifts than it does if we only create from one or the other. So it's, yeah, and really you do feel safe when you are creating from that balanced place, right? Yeah. And actually for me it's a happy place. It's a joyful place. I feel it every month when we are publishing Star Nations magazine. Every month. Yeah. It's a joyfulness that feeds me. It fills my soul. Actually, my soul is shining with it, right? And I have to say that it's in that co-creation. It's in the co-creation that, and we're going to share some of that with you guys tonight. That is the magic in it, really. It is the magic. So thank you, Judy, for sharing that, because I'm sure that there's others who feel the same way, right? That feeling safe, right? When we're being stretched, when our comfort zone is being, that boundary that we have in our comfort zone, that, what do they call it? That 3 feet. When it's being stretched and you're being pulled a bit out of your comfort zone, that's not a comfortable place to be, is it? Yeah. I remember the first time I repelled. Do you guys, yeah, you know about repelling, right? When you have that harness and you're stepping off a cliff or a building, and you repel down the side of the building. The first time I ever repelled, the first time you step off, that to me is a very good example of when we are getting out of our comfort zone. It can be a scary place to be. But the thing is that a lot of that, um, when I'm in a harness and you have somebody down on the ground level being your belay, you are in a very safe place. It's facing it. It's really that first step off that is the one that goes, oh my God, really. So thank you, Judy. Thank you for sharing. I love that when you guys share like this. All right. So who's next? Interesting. Yeah, trying. Sometimes the best thing we can do is to be open to the possibilities. To be open to the possibilities. Right? To me, that's a good place to be in. Deborah is saying, I've been thinking about you too. Yay. Doctor appointment in the morning, so mid-afternoon or so. I have a doctor's appointment in the morning too, so afternoon is a good one. All right. So we get to talk tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Rob is saying, challenge belief systems and prepare to walk alone. The true test of a man's soul is the ability to endure social isolation. Kierkegaard. Yeah, I don't know. I understand what he's saying, but I think that there's a time for us to experience that quietness, right? That quietness. And as somebody who is, one of my gifts is my medicine dress, and the other is the drum, and the pipe. That is a lot of times I'm by myself. There's many people who choose to live a more lonely life to create that, right? But when we're sifting through our belief systems, sometimes you do need that alone time. Sometimes you do need that quiet time, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And you also get to learn about how comfortable are you being with you, right? Being in that quietness with yourself. I have a niece who does not like being alone at all. Not at all. Yeah. And she will do anything and everything where she doesn't have to be by herself at all. So, there is that, right? Kierkegaard. I haven't thought about him or seen his name in years. Thank you, Rob. I thought Georgie was coming down. I heard him upstairs playing. Karen, hey, Karen's good to have you here. She says, when the mind and heart are in tune, it seems that there will be times that what I need to see happen manifests my reality. It's always fun when I realize it's happening, isn't it though? It's so true. Thank you, Karen. It is so true. And I don't know about you guys, but these days, manifesting something happens so much quicker than it was maybe even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, right? A lot of times, that's why we have to be really careful of what we ask for and what we're thinking, because it can materialize quite fast, right? And sometimes it's out of thin air. Have you ever had that happen? That's really something. So thank you, Karen. Absolutely. I love what you said, when the mind and the heart are in tune. Yes. When they're harmonized, right? Yeah. Thank you for that. Barbie says, I think that life circumstances will also define our strengths. Well, I think so. I think that because we have soul growth here, we have our life lessons, right? that it does strengthen our mettle, mettle, right? Strengthen our mettle, or shows us our mettle. Yeah, I think you're right with that. It's life circumstances. I'd like to think that those are those life lessons that when we've learned the lesson, right? We've gained the wisdom from it. And the way I see it is that when we start applying what we learned, that is the wisdom when we actually start using it. Right? And when we use it, we get to use it in service to our community. That's walking the red road. I think so. Thank you, Barbie. It's a good one. Martina says, alone sometimes can be good. I agree, Martina. I so agree. Now, there's times, yep, when you want to be with your friends and you want to, have a good time, right? You want to dance, you want to sing, you want to have that socialization. Yes. But there's times, even the most extroverted person will find some comfort in that quietude, right? That quietude. So I think sometimes it is good. And I think that sometimes we definitely need it, especially when we're filtering through what do we believe, what's supporting us, what do we keep, what do we let go, right? So I let go of only men can drum. That was gone a long time ago. Yeah, about 20 years. So thank you, Martina. Yeah, Rob is saying, pet me mama, George Lokotz. Georgie boy. Yeah, I hear him upstairs. He's got one of his squeak toys. Yeah. Judy's saying, but also living alone is how we are made. I don't like being alone, but it's also exhausts me to be around a lot of people. Yeah, I think there's balance in it, right? Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people would put me in the category of being an extrovert. But I also thoroughly enjoy the quiet and being by myself. In fact, I need that. I need that for a good portion of my week, the month, is that to carve out some time where I am in the quiet. That's how I recharge. When you're a triple fire, you really need to have some downtime. You really do. You really have to remind yourself, right? And these days, it's kind of far and few between during the daytime where I am by myself because mom's always here, George is always here, and then there's Paul, right? And so, yeah, when I was doing a lot of traveling, when I would drive over to Michigan, I loved that 6-hour drive because it was just me in the car. And so a lot of times that was my quiet time. No radio on either. So I want to share a little bit with you about co-creating and creation. And I've mentioned to you about the magazine, right? And how in that creation of the monthly magazine that I get to experience being a creator consciously, but also being a co-creator. And in that co-creation, it starts from the very, very first thoughts about the next month's issue. And many times, almost all the time, we're working on more than one issue of the magazine at a time. So, remember that metaphor about the juggling? It's kind of like that, because we haven't even published the month magazine, and we've already started the next month's issue. Okay? So I send out a email to the contributing writers for let's say the April issue of Star Nations magazine preparation. So I send them the email to let them, as a reminder, and to list the topics because they already have the whole year's topics. But to list topics, to list the due dates and what's due when, if they have, questions or concerns, how to reach me, who on feature writing is up. And so we already start that. So technically, we've already started the April issue. We started that on March 6th. Yeah. So here we go. We're going to show you the very first piece, that the co-creation, as it comes together and starts to take form, and does take form, does have that quality of being grounded to the earth plane. And that is the cover of the issue, the magazine. So Rob, if you could bring that first picture up, the cover. This is always the very first piece that comes up. You know what? I think we're going to have to take down the overlay. If you could take it off for a minute, please, Rob. That would be helpful. We're testing out a few things too, guys. We're testing out a few things. And so, yeah, there we go. Thank you. That's a little bit better. And so the cover is the very first piece that is the physical manifestation of the magazine. I go out and this is the fun part for me. I go out and I search for an image. And several usually, I find several usually. And so I get to sit with those for a day or two and sense, feel, see how this is going to come together for this particular issue. And given the topics. And then what I do is, this is right around the 24th of the month. Articles are starting to come in. I get the article titles. The articles in their raw state are going to an editor. I get the titles right around the 24th, and the completely finished article comes to me on the 28th. Okay. So here we are. We're bringing in all of those raw materials, the articles, the titles, the images. And then I sit with that for like a day or so. And I'm talking to my spiritual team. And then what I do is I take the ones that sing to me, that carries a tune for me. And then I send it off to Elf Elm. So the elves get it. They get the cover image, at least one, maybe two, sometimes three. The titles that are selected for the cover, right? And then they have it for about 2 or 3 days. And then they send me several versions to look at. And literally, it is the sensing, feeling, scene of the cover. And usually for me, it is a emotional response to it, to the cover. But this is the co-creation part. This is taking all of those pieces and bringing them together. And when I say that it sings to me, I can feel the energy coming off the page, right? It's in that co-creation, because each one of the titles of the articles that appear on the cover all carry with it the energy of the article, right? The energy of the writer. Elf Elm, the elves, Angie and Nissa, they are also using their gifts. Very talented women in creating something like this, taking our raw material and creating something like this. And so it really is, every month, every single one of us is stepping outside of our comfort zone. every single one of us are getting stretched, right? And that we're using our gifts to the best of our abilities, and sometimes it's even stretching those. Sometimes it's even stretching those. But this is the cover is the first piece where we really start to really feel the energy of that co-creation as it comes onto the earth plane. And whenever we publish on the 10th of every month is when we literally ground all of that big energy field to the earth plane. And I send out the promotional pieces, right? Telling all you guys about the issue is now available. That's grounding it to the earth plane. Yeah. So being a creator, and I would say this is not a small C creator. No. This is a capital C creator. Why? Because it involves such a big energy field in that co-creation. In that co-creation. We have 14, 15, 17. We have about 25 to 30 people every month. Did you guys know that? About 25 to 30 people working on a magazine issue for you. That's a huge energy field. Yeah. I think it's pretty special, but you know what? I'm pretty partial to it too. Thing is that when I first started the magazine, I didn't have a clue about how big the energy field was going to be. It wasn't until I started working on I think it was the second or third issue, that I realized how many people we were really touching, how many souls, and how big the energy field of the magazine is. And it's only gotten bigger. It's only gotten bigger. It's about 2 or 3 size the energy field size than the very first ones that we created. Yeah. All right. So, Rob, let's get caught up with everybody in the chat. If we have anybody. I think just Judy, it looks like.
No, you already covered that one.
You did that one? Okay, good. Thank you. Great. Love it. All right. So, here we are in that co-creation, right? So the cover is the very first piece. Now, each of the articles every month, I get to see and read about 4 or 5 times. So around the 5th one, I can't see much anymore because I've looked at it how many times, right? 5 times. And so that's why we have other people come in to be able to do some of the last pieces of the reading, to read through it, through the PDF at least once, maybe twice, to see if there's anything that kind of jumps out at them, right? Because I could look at it and see the same misspelled word 3 times and not realize it's misspelled. And so what I'd like to do is share with you the articles that appear on the cover of the magazine this month, because each one of these writers, the reason why their article was selected, because it held, of course, certain information based on the topics, but more importantly, they have a message that's being delivered. Channeled message being delivered through each one of those writers. And I have to say that almost every single one of our writers write in a channeled way. I don't know if you guys can sense that or feel that when you read the magazine, but I'm trying to think of somebody that doesn't. we have some people who don't write for us anymore, who needed to move on to a different vehicle in their expression. But that doesn't mean that they weren't channeled in their writing at all. Yeah. So let's bring up the very first one, Rob, which is Eddie Mullins' article. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Eddie Mullins. Do you guys know Eddie at all? He actually teaches. He's a modern day shaman. He teaches. He writes. He has a podcast. He does a lot of channeled working. In fact, the very first piece in this, very first paragraph in this is a channeled message and asking him, do you mind if we rearrange this just a little bit? That we're going to bring Callie's message up to the front because I think that everybody needs to see that right away. And so listening to your essence. Listening to your essence is the title. His column is Wisdom Keeper's Path. Wisdom Keeper's Path. And yeah, if you know Eddie, you know that he is a very clear empath. He is a true sensitive. And growing up that way in Wisconsin, in the Northwoods, we didn't know each other from Wisconsin, but I know the area that he grew up in. And yeah, as a young boy, it was a real challenge for him, a real challenge. And so when he writes, he's a pure channel with it. And so this article is all about, I'm just going to read you, okay? It says, are you still choosing which way to go? Or are you shifting to the natural direction and flow of your body and life for humanity through your essence? Those are the questions he's asking. Eddie opens the door of possibility for us to begin to feel your sense of wisdom and to listen to your essence of the way your destiny path moves or what supports it for humanity. And so in his article, in that co-creation, right, one of the things I love about having this vehicle for them is that they get to express their gifts, right? And that they get to shine. Their soul gets to shine from this. And Eddie always picks all his own images. So the sunflower picture he found, Creative Commons picture. And so, yeah, who doesn't like sunflowers, right? But the sunflowers, they track with the sun, right? They move in the flow of the sun. All right, so next up, Sharon Rosenblum. Sharon, oh my gosh, she's one of my sisters. We've known each other for a really long time. And Sharon is practicing the Jewish faith. And so she gets to weave in information about the Jewish faith and the different holidays, right? Festivals and ceremonies from the Jewish faith, along with her article. So this month she wrote about Purim. And I tell you what, I learned quite a bit from her article. And she wanted to share with us about Esther. And I don't know if many of you know who Esther is, but Sharon she's such an educator. She really is. She used to be a teacher. She's one of our editors too. But she brings to us insight and understanding of an ancient Jewish celebration, the festival of Purim. Purim is a time when we remember Queen Esther and her commitment to her people. Sharon also shares with us a delicious recipe for, I'm going to mispronounce this, kreplach. It kind of looks like dumplings in a way. They're filled. They're really good though. And so, with Sharon, she gets to share with us a part of her soul when it comes to the Jewish faith. Yeah. I've learned so much from her when it comes to that. And to be in ceremony with her is pretty special too. So if you don't know anything about Purim, this is a great article to read, because you'll understand why is it such a celebration. What happened during that? Because actually there were some people who were, they were put to death, but it turned out to be a celebration, right? Okay, so next up is Karen Crowley Suzani. Oh my gosh, Earth Energies is the name of her column, and her article is the influence of water. We could do, that's okay. That's all right. We will do, oh, okay. That's all right. We can do that. I just got out of, what happened here? All right. We're going to do this one. Sorry about that, Rob. The influence of water. All right. So Karen Crowley, right? Karen actually lives in France. She is an expert at earth energies and underground water. And she has a way of being able to explain how spirit moves, how the earth moves, and how it affects us and how we affect the earth. This particular article is all about how the water and underground water and how it can rejuvenate us, and how, if we're not aware of it, how it could actually be detrimental to our physical health, and what can we do to adjust it. Right? So it's one of those articles where she talks about the ancient ones and how they used ceremony and also the earth energies to be able to celebrate life and to be healthy, right? So she says that Karen shares with us how water influences life. There are many fascinating ways our ancestors used water. Our connection to water first starts with our connection to the earth. Deepen your understanding of our relationship to water by reading this article. And it did. There were some things in there that I thought, oh, I forgot about that. And so when she's writing, she sits quietly for a while and connects with Grandmother Earth and says, okay, what would you like me to share with our readers? What's important for us to know? And this is what happens. It's pretty good. All right. I got to get back on track. Yeah. Sorry about that. We're going to do Luck of the Irish. Luck of the Irish. This is Ortrun Franklin's, and her article, column, I should say, is The Mystery School. And Ortrun is Celtic. I don't know if you guys knew that, but she's Celtic. And she had this phrase come to her the day before she was going to sit down and try to decide, okay, what are we writing this month, right? Luck of the Irish came. And so she gives us a good background of where this phrase may have started from, because nobody really knows where it started from. And so she gives us a really good background of both the United States, Ireland, and also Gaul, And so, yeah, it's fascinating in what she shows us. She's saying, where does the phrase luck of the Irish derive? Ortrun shares with us an insight into the esoteric meaning behind the well-known phrase. Find out about the ancient ties to modern day. She also shares with us a guided meditation to uncover your ancestral relationship to luck. What is luck, right? Yeah. And so have you guys done a guided meditation with Ortrun before? They are so good. So good. Wow. Okay. I know we're at the top of the hour, but I really want to fit this one in. Actually, we got two more. Magical forests. This is Minnie Kansman's article, Magical Forests, under her new column, Nature Connections. And so what she did is she knew she wanted to write about the forests. It was one of the topics. And she sat down and she was going to start writing it. And what happened is she was led to start going through all of the pictures that she has, and she takes a lot of pictures. And the pictures started telling the story. And the title actually got chosen by the tree energy that was coming through the pictures. And so what she does is she shares with us several of the different places that she's been around the world and the forests that she has experienced, and the magic, the messages that came to her from those forests. And it is magical. If you've ever been on a trip with Minnie, or even just been on a walk with her, you know that the nature spirits talk through her, they show her things, and this article is no different. So she channeled tree medicine for us in this article. Yeah, it's a good one. I like it. Liked it a lot. The pictures are gorgeous too. Okay, we have one more. Right. And that should be prayers, right? Prayers, offerings, sage, and cedar. No? I thought I gave that to you. Maybe I didn't. Yep, that's the one. That's the one. Okay, this one is by Tony Charette. Now, Tony Charette, he's from Grand Rapids, and he is Ojibwa, Anishinaabeg. He happens to also be a medium. And when he saw what was being offered as the topics, one of the topics was prayers, and he wanted to share with us about prayers, offering, sage, and cedar. And what I loved about his article is that he really brings it to everyday use. One of the examples he uses in here is how a native child receives their native name, and how tobacco is used in there, and what does it mean to lay down tobacco, right? And it's a wonderful article. It touched my heart. I'm so glad Tony writes for us. I really am, because he brings in that aspect of Native America and being two-spirited. Right? So yeah, I love this article. Let me see. It says Tony shares with a Native American perspective of prayer and the sacred four medicines. He brings in the sacredness of our connection to spirit through prayer and offerings, a must read to remember your unique connection to prayer. One of the things he says in his article is that prayer isn't owned by anyone. Spirit isn't owned by anyone. That as long as you're speaking from your heart, sharing from your heart, being from your heart, that's what matters. That's what matters. So I know, it's so good. Can't wait for you guys to read that one. All right. So being a co-creator, that's what we do for the magazines every single month. And my hope is that you actually feel that coming through the magazine, right? And so what I'd like to do, this is going to be a little bit of surprise to Rob. Rob, we're going to give away a digital copy of the magazine, the March issue. And so if you could randomly as you can, select a winner, you can let us know which person that's going to be. And is that the winner? Yay! That's Lisa Crawford.
I scrolled up and down with the mouse button.
Yay! Yay, Lisa. So I'm going to be sending you a free issue code for the March issue. If you don't already get the magazine, this is a way for you to be able to experience it. If you do receive the magazine, let me know, and I will send you a printed copy of the magazine. Okay. So let me know, and because if you get the digital already, that's great. Thank you so much. If you don't, then you'll get it for free. But if you do, let me know, and I will send you a print copy of the magazine so you can experience it through the print. Okay. Yay. That's a good one. All right. She goes, not me. I just ordered the magazine. Okay. How about if I do this for you, Lisa? Okay. I'm going to send you the digital code. All right. I'm going to send you the digital code. And you can gift the digital code to someone in your life that you would like them to experience the magazine. All right. Because it doesn't go by name, they just have to use the code. All right. Yay. I love it. And let me know how that works, okay, Lisa? Because we really want to be able to gift it to someone. Yay. All right. So this is how you can actually receive the magazine. If I'm going to make sure you use the Be.Live code. Rob, do you have that Be.Live code? Otherwise, I can send it to you. Because that one will take them directly to the page. So much easier. So much easier. So the magazine actually comes in digital form, right? And also in print on demand. In digital form, that means that you can use your smartphone, you can use it on a tablet. Our partners at issue.com, you can actually get the magazine on your desktop now as a PDF. Yes. Which is really kind of nice. So you can have it, on the go, or you can see it at home if you want to. And so, yeah, any way that you'd like to read, we have that for you, that version for you. And so I hope you find the March issue of the Star Nations magazine both enjoyable, but also insightful, and sense, feel, see how we're co-creating and how we've embraced our ability to create with a capital C. With a capital C. I so enjoy being with you guys, hanging out with you. I hope you can join me next week again for Communications from Home on Tuesday evening. Let's see, what's the date on that? The date for next Tuesday is what? The 17th. Oh, St. Patrick's Day. We'll have to talk a little bit about that, huh? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with me this evening and chatting about our being creators and stretching, being a little uncomfortable, facing our fears if we have to, maybe letting go of a belief that doesn't support you, right? And embracing your ability to create and to co-create. And with that, Bama Mina, that means in Potawatomi, until we see each other again. Love you guys.